Greetings, I am Lady Clara Tennyson, and welcome to the Gallerist. In this era where art intersects with capitalism, the emergence of a novel vocation is evident, that of the gallerist. This role is a synthesis of an art dealer, museum curator, and artist manager. You are poised to assume this multifaceted position. Your responsibilities will include promoting and nurturing artists, acquiring, exhibiting, and marketing their artwork, and cultivating a global reputation. Through these endeavors, you will garner the esteem necessary to attract a worldwide audience to your gallery. The journey entails considerable effort, yet assistance is available. You may employ aides to facilitate attaining your objectives. By directing the most profitable gallery, you will amass wealth and cement your status as a distinguished gallerist.
Hello friends, Keith here from the Solo Gamers Club and welcome to my channel. Tonight we're taking a deep dive into the captivating solo variant of Vital Lacerda's masterpiece, the Gallerist, from Eagle Gryphon Games. This is one of the most elegant games in my collection, and its components and design truly immerses you in the glamorous world of the international art scene. I'll start with an overview of the board and components, and then we'll get into setting up the solo experience. I'll be playing as the orange player, and I'll be controlling the orange gallery. Our gallery consists of a lobby where we'll welcome visitors to our establishment, and a gallery or exhibition area where we will showcase our works of art. Potential visitors include investors, brown meeples, VIPs, the pink meeples, and collectors, white meeples. Investors provide us with investment capital. VIPs will bring influence to our gallery, and collectors will bestow fame to both the artists we promote and our gallery. In the center of the board is the plaza. This is where prospective visitors will congregate. We invite our visitors into our lobby and gallery by issuing tickets. The board contains 4 primary areas where most of the action will take place. To the north, we have the sales office, which is the location where we can obtain sales contracts or sell existing pieces of art. To the east is the artists' colony, where we can discover new artists or buy a work of art from an established artist. To the south is the media center, where we can hire assistants to aid us in our tasks or promote artists by spending our influence to increase their fame, thereby making their works more valuable. Finally, to the west is the international market, where we can send our assistants to arrange extravagant parties to increase our reputation in the international markets, or to place a bid on a priceless work of art of worldwide renown in an international auction. Each location on the board has 2 spaces, the location space and a kicked out space. When a player moves into a location that is occupied by a player token, or one of their assistants, that token is bumped to the kickout location, allowing that player to take a kickout action after the player completes his turn. A kickout action allows a player to reduce their influence to the previous fame icon and perform one of the location's actions, or to take an executive action. An executive action allows the player to spend tickets to attract visitors to their lobby or gallery, or to use an assistant to claim a contract bonus action. Each of the main areas along the edges of the board are connected with a graphic to one of the primary locations on the board. The victory conditions for the solitaire game are as follows. We have the apprentice level, the experienced level, and the Master Gallerist level. And all of our actions in the game are going to attempt to fulfill the requirements to meet at least one of those 3 categories. In this case, we'll hopefully be able to achieve the apprentice level. To break down how we'll accomplish this, we'll look closely at each of the available actions and their effects. In order to acquire art to display in our exhibition hall, we first need to visit the artist's colony, where we can discover new artists or purchase a piece of art from an established artist. There are 8 artists in each game, but only one has been discovered at the start of the game. Artists come in 2 types, blue and red. Blue artists tend to be less well known, while red artists tend to be more advanced, and they draw a collector into the plaza when they are discovered. The back of the artist tile provides us with a great deal of information about the artist, including their style of art, either painting, sculpture, photography, or digital art, their starting reputations, their artist bonus tile, and their commission price. The selection of an artist is based on many factors, but will usually involve the fulfillment of a portion of our curator and/or art dealer cards. When we discover a new artist, we take a copy of their signature token and place it on the commission space on our board. This entitles us the option to purchase a work of art from this artist at its commission price, regardless of its current value. The player may only hold 1 commission marker at a time and may not buy another work of art from them until they have bought the commissioned work first. The value of a piece of art rises as the artist and their works become more famous. A gallerist can help to increase the notoriety of an artist, thereby increasing the value of their works, at the media center. This is accomplished by spending influence equal to the artist's next promotion level. This can be improved by having collectors inside the player's gallery and by spending additional influence. In order to sell a work of art, the gallerist needs to have a contract matching the art style of the work. Contracts and sales are handled at the sales office. While at the sales office, a player may sign a contract by taking any face-up contract from the display, or if the player wishes, he may draw 4 new contracts and place them over the existing contracts. Acquired contracts are placed on the player's board on an empty contract space, or over a previously fulfilled face-down contract. If the contract is placed into an empty slot, the player receives a ticket from the box office matching the ticket shown in the space. Tickets can be used to move visitors from the plaza to the lobby, or visitors in the lobby to the gallery. Once a visitor is inside a gallery, it cannot be moved by another player. To sell a work of art, the player must have a work of art on display in their gallery and a matching contract. The player removes the work of art from the gallery and places it next to their player board for scoring in the future. In addition, they receive money according to the signature token on the art value track. Influence is gained by having VIPs and collectors in your gallery, and for taking actions at the international market. Influence is a very flexible and valuable commodity in the art world, and it can be spent in many ways, including gaining money and gaining additional fame. The secret to using influence is to use it strategically. For example, the orange player has 12 influence and buys a work of art. The artist would gain 2 fame from this action. But the orange player chooses to move his influence disc back to space 10, to the previous fame icon, and the artist gains 1 additional fame. Now, if the orange player started with 10 influence, they would have to move the disc to the 5 space spending 5 influence to gain the same benefit. So small gains on the influence track can pay great dividends. The same procedure can be used when spending money by moving the influence disc back on the track to the previous space that shows a money icon. This can be done multiple times, and it reduces the cost of an action by 1 money for each movement. Note, you cannot use the influence track to gain money which is not immediately spent. To set up the game, we place the board center table. We place 10 tickets of each color in the box office. These tickets will also serve as the game's timer. The game will end at the end of a round in which the last ticket is taken from the box office. We take one final action and then the scoring will begin. We remove 4 visitors of each type from the draw bag, place them back in the box. At the sales office, we shuffle the contract cards and place the deck face down in the leftmost space. And then we draw the top 4 cards, placing them face up on the 4 contract spaces. At the artist's colony, we shuffle all 16 artist tiles and place them one at a time onto the spaces on the board which match the color and art form of the artist. If we draw an artist whose space is already occupied, it is returned to the box. We repeat the process until all the spaces are filled, and return any unused artists to the box. The first blue artist that is placed will be placed face up. We mark its initial fame value with a white cube. Then we shuffle the artist's bonus tiles and place 1 at random on each artist, and place 1 white visitor, a collector, from the bag on each of the red artists. Then both of each artist's signature tiles are placed next to their tiles. For each art form, we shuffle the respective works of art and place each stack face up next to the appropriate studio. Then the top tile of each of the stacks is set aside for later use. A number of random visitors are drawn from the bag and placed on top of each work of art, equal to the number of tickets depicted on its tile. Then at the media center, we stack the promotion tokens on their corresponding numbered spaces. Then moving over to the international market, we place 8 random reputation tiles in the first and third rows of the top portion of the international market display. The second column is not used during solo play. Then we shuffle the 4 works of art that we previously set aside and place 1 at random on an easel near the board. This is a work of international renown. We can use our assistants to place bids for this work at the international market. Then we place the 3 unused works of art back into the box. Next, we randomly choose 4 of the remaining reputation tiles and place 1 face up on each location on the game board. We select a color and take the corresponding player board, Gallerist pawn, assistant meeples, and influence marker. We place our Gallerist pawn on one of the 4 available locations and take the reputation token and place it on the 3rd art space on our player board. We place 8 assistants on the unemployment queue, and the remaining 2 assistants we place at desks in our office. Next, we place our influence disc on the 10 space of the influence track. That's our starting influence. Then we choose a color to represent our opponent, the cunning and ruthless art dealer Lacerda. For this playthrough, I've selected the blue components to represent Lacerda. We take his Gallerist pawn and assistant meeples and place them near the board within easy reach. We place 4 random visitors from the bag in the plaza. And then we place one random meeple in each of the players' lobbies. One for us and one for Lacerda. Then we take 10 money from the bank. That's our starting bankroll. The art dealer cards are shuffled and we deal one to ourselves. We do the same with the curator cards. And that's the setup, and we're ready for play. So to begin our solo playthrough, we'll begin by examining our victory point track. And at the end of the game, we'll be using each of those spaces on the track to generate income for us. And that's going to help us to achieve one of those 3 victory levels. So to start out, we would probably want to examine our curator and collector card. It's going to give us the ability to get bonuses for fulfilling that criteria. With our curator card, we get bonuses for having those types of art on display in our gallery. And the same goes for our art dealer card. In this case, it would be works of art that we have sold during the game. If we can match up the criteria in the card, we get that economic bonus. The next thing we'd probably want to do is take a look at the international market, and specifically at the reputation tiles that are available during the game. We will attempt to match those up with the criteria on our curator and art dealer cards to gain additional bonuses. And then finally, we'd take a look at the artists and works of art that are available at the artists colony and see how those will pair up with the criteria on our curator and art dealer cards. And that is how we're going to try to increase our score at the end of the game. Now, gameplay is actually very simple. During our turn, we can move our pawn to another location and then execute one of the 2 actions that are available there. In addition, we can take an executive action during the turn, either before or after executing the action in the space. One portion of an executive action is to use our tickets to move visitors from either an opponent's lobby or from the plaza or from our own lobby into our gallery. So as an example, we could play one brown ticket to move a brown meeple into our lobby. We could also spend a second ticket and move that same one into our gallery. Once a visitor comes into the gallery, opponents can't move them out. One action we can do is also to use a ticket to move a visitor in an opponent's lobby back into the plaza. So those tickets are very versatile. You can spend as many as you have during the executive action. Another action that we can perform during the executive action is to place one of our assistants on a contract card that we have and gain the bonus. So we could take one from the board or from our desk area, place it on there, and then we would gain that benefit of the contract. In this case, that action would allow us to take a free contract from the board. So to begin the game, we're going to place our pawn in one of the other 3 locations that are different from the one that we're at. I think to start out the game, I'm going to move our dealer pawn to the media center. Now, whenever we leave a location, we can place one of our assistants in that location. We take them from their desk in our office and we place it on the location where we were. Now, if an opponent moves into that space, we can get what's known as a kick-out action. That would allow us to either pay some fame in order to perform one of the actions in that space, or we could use it to take an executive action. Now in this case, we've selected the media center, so our choices would be to promote an artist using our influence to do so, or we can hire some assistants, and that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to go to the unemployment queue on our card and see how many assistants we might want to hire. Now we can hire as many assistants from the unemployment queue as we choose and can afford. In this case, we have 3 desks available in our office, so we could hold up to 3 more assistants. I think at this time, though, I'm going to purchase 2 assistants. We'll purchase these top 2 assistants. That's going to cost us a total of 3 money. And we're going to gain 1 brown ticket as a bonus for purchasing that second assistant. So we're going to put those on desks in our office. And then we have to pay the money for it. Now that transaction will cost us 3 money. Now we can save some money by using some of our influence to kind of cut the cost of that. Right now our influence marker is at 10. Now we can move that down to the next nearest money symbol, and that will deduct 1 from the cost of the transaction. So in this case, hiring those assistants, we've used our influence, moved it down to 8 on the influence track. That matches up with a money space, so we've decreased the cost by 1. So instead of paying 3, we only need to pay 2 now. So we've deducted $2 from our treasury, and we've purchased those 2 assistants that are going to help us out during the game. Now if we chose, we could attempt to move that influence marker down to the next lowest money symbol, and that would deduct another $1 from the transaction. But we're not going to do that because we want to keep this fame space open, and that might allow us to get some influence for artists later in the game. Now, one of the bonuses from purchasing those assistants is we gained a brown ticket. So we take the top ticket off the brown stack, and we're going to add that into our display, and we can use that during an executive action to move visitors around the board. So we take the ticket from the box office and we place that on our display. Now we're able to take an executive action if we choose, and I think we will do so. So we're going to spend our brown ticket that we just got, and we'll move one of the brown meeples from the plaza into our lobby area. That ticket is put in a discard pile. And that's going to bring our turn to a close. Now our opponent, the art dealer Lacerda, is going to start in the opposite location from where we began the game. So we're going to place him at the sales office. And at the start of the game, that's all he's going to do. During his turns, he's going to move 1 space clockwise. And what he's going to do is leave behind one of his assistants every time he moves. And then when we would say want to go to that location, as an example, say we moved here next time, that's going to kick him out. And instead of getting a normal kick out action, what he's going to do is force us to discard 1 ticket from the box office, and we would choose it from the stack that has the most tickets. If the stacks are tied, we can choose. And that's pretty much how Lacerda is going to operate. He won't be interacting with any of the spaces other than 1. Now the only exception to this is when Lacerda moves to the international market. Every time he moves to the international market, or he has any of his assistants in a kicked out mode, we're going to place one of Lacerda's assistants on the first available empty space, starting with the top left. And he's going to claim that reputation tile. He won't score it, but it'll prevent us from getting it. Second time that occurs, he's going to place one on the lower portion of the display. The third time he would be at the top and back down to the lower portion. And he'll eventually start filling those locations up and denying us access to those spaces. Now this will also work if Lacerda has placed an assistant in that space and we end up kicking him out. Instead of performing a normal kick out action, he would be able to claim one of those tiles. And the next time we would come up, we would do the same procedure again, but using the next available tile as such. And that's how Lacerda is going to operate. It's a very simple mechanism, but it's very effective. Incidentally, the game comes with 4 double-sided player aids. On one side, they tell you the different actions you can take at each of the locations, and on the other side, they tell you about the icons and some of the resources in the game, what money can be used for, how to get it, what fame can be used for, how to get it, etc. So it's very handy. I think for our next action, I'm going to visit the artist's colony. So we're going to move our pawn to the artist's colony. Now, we have one of our assistants in that location. We don't get a kick out action for kicking out our own assistant, so that just goes back to our office area where our assistants are deployed from. Now you'll notice that there's a graphic for each location. It's a darker translucent color that is attached to the locations around the board. So this one here is the artist colony, and that would give us access to all of those tiles when we go there. Our choices are to discover a new artist or to purchase a painting from an existing artist. Now at the start of the game, we've only got one artist that has been discovered. In this case, she delves into digital art. She has a reputation of 1, and the cost of purchasing art from her currently is $4. So if we choose to purchase art from her, we would take the top tile off of the stack of digital art. Any meeples that are on there would be placed into the plaza area, and then we would gain the benefits listed on that piece of art. Cost would be, in this case, $4, and then we would place her signature token on our value board. In this case, she is a level 1 green star. She hasn't crossed into 2 stars yet, so that is her price level for the moment. So we would take her signature token and place that next to the green star, telling us that that painting is actually, or I should say digital work of art, is worth $5. We could purchase it for $4 right now. So we would make a profit, and if we can promote that artist and move her fame up, the value of her works of art will also go up. 8, 11, 14, all the way up to 20 for a masterpiece. And that's definitely one of our goals, is to promote these artists and get them to be to the masterpiece level. If we can move up her fame level up to 18, she would become a world famous artist, and we would gain a special token that we would place on her card. And that would indicate that that piece is a masterpiece work and give us $5 for that. It takes a lot of effort to promote the artists to get them to that level. Part of the victory conditions is that we have at least one masterpiece at the apprentice level. So we're going to need to do this in order to reach that victory level. I think what we're going to do, though, is discover a new artist. And we are going to discover this artist here. So what happens is we're going to turn that token over. We're going to get the benefit of this artist's bonus token. That allows us to take 2 tickets not of the same color. So what we would do is examine the plaza area. We find out that there's 2 pink and 1 white in there. So we'll probably take 1 of each of those. So we'll earn a pink and white ticket. We'll place that on our player board, and then we can discard this tile and turn this artist over. And we find out that she works in photography. She has no level yet. She's level 0. So we're going to place a token on her starting location on her board, and that's 1. So it would cost us, right now her paintings or artworks would be worth $1. Now because we've discovered her, we get to place a signature token on the commission space. What this means is, irregardless of what her works of art are be valued at in the future, we can always buy a work of art from her at the lowest price. We're basically giving her her start, and as a part of that, she's willing to produce a work of art for us at the lowest value on her artist tile. Now the downside is we can only have 1 commission at a time. We won't be able to have another commission tile until we purchase that work of art from the photographer, and then that would open this spot up, and then we could commission another work from a starving artist. I should also mention that as a part of our move, we placed one of our assistants at our previous location for a kick-out action. And now we can take an executive action as a part of our turn, and I think we'll do that. We're going to spend some of our tickets that we have. We've got a white and a pink ticket, and we're going to move, I think, one white and one pink into our lobby area. Now, the only limitation we have is with white meeples inside of our gallery area. We're limited to a total of 1 plus the number of works of art that we've sold during the game. So at present, we can only have 1 collector white meeple in our gallery area at a time. There's no limit to the number of them we can have in our lobby area. And once again, those tickets go into a discard pile. All right, now Lacerda will take his turn. Now we've positioned our pawn in his path, so we're going to be able to take a kick-out action at that location, and that's a very big force multiplier in the solitaire game and in the multiplayer game are these kick-out actions. So Lacerda is going to move clockwise. He'll leave an assistant behind. He's going to move here and kick us out. So we're going to take a kick-out action after he completes his turn, which he did. So now it is our opportunity, and we can either take a kick-out action or an executive action. Now, if we choose to take a kick-out action, we have to reduce our influence marker down to the next fame icon. So in this case, we'd have to spend 3 influence, and that would allow us to take a kick-out action, which is either of the 2 actions in that location. So by spending the influence judiciously, we can accomplish a lot more and minimize the cost on our influence. Now our choices are to discover another artist or to purchase a work of art. We already have an artist's signature in our commission space, so we don't want to do that. We're going to purchase some art this time. As we can see from our curator and art dealer card, a lot of our more valuable payoffs would be involving photographic art, so we're probably going to try to buy a photograph. Now if we want to purchase a photograph, the only discovered artist is the one that we discovered, and if we purchase that work of art, it's going to cost us 1 money. And I think that's what we're going to do. So what we'll do is we take the top artwork in that field. This one comes with a visitor, so we'll place that in the plaza. Then we examine the card and see what the effects are of purchasing that. Well, our artist would gain 0 fame plus 1 fame for every white meeple that we had in our gallery. Now, a good strategy for us would have been to try to get one of those white meeples into our gallery. That would have given our artist plus 1 to his fame, his or her fame. In this case, we don't have that situation, but those are things that we're trying to do. We're trying to basically massage the situation to get us the most victory points possible. And small things like this, by having the proper number of visitors and type of visitors in the galleries, can really advance us in the scoring. But for right now, we've purchased this work of art. All we're going to get out of this is we're going to gain a brown ticket. That was one of the rewards there. We'll place that in on our sheet, and then this work of art will be displayed in our gallery. So we're going to place the work of art in the leftmost space in our gallery, and then we're going to take that commission token that we acquired by discovering that artist, and we're going to move that to the proper number of stars on the scoring track, the value track. So now in this case, this artist hasn't even reached star 1. So basically, it's a completely unknown starving artist, and we would have to set our track on the no stars level of the track. So we'll move that signature token from the commission space to the 0 fame level, which has currently the work of art is worthless. But as we increase that artist's fame, you'll see that our value of the work is going to go up, and we've purchased it basically for 1 money. We'll have to pay the 1 money, and we could use influence to move that price down, and we might end up doing that. So to reduce the price, we can drop our influence down to the next nearest money icon on the influence board. We'll do that. It's going to save us 1 money. So right now we're back up to 8 money. It cost us basically nothing. We were able to use our influence, and we convinced that artist to give us the painting for virtually nothing. And that completed our kick out action. After we get kicked out, we have to go back to our gallery. And then from there, next turn, we can deploy to any location. So that's another advantage of being in a kicked out space. Go back to your gallery, and then all 4 locations are open to you for the next round. And I think now for our next turn, we're going to go to the international market. So we will transfer over to there. And now that we're at the international market, before we take this action, we have the option to do a executive action, either before or after. The executive actions are where we spend tickets to draw visitors into our gallery or to gain benefits from contract cards. I think we'll wait on the executive action for the time being, and then we're going to examine the reputation tiles that are out on the international market. In order to qualify for these tiles, we have to meet the criteria at the top of the display, and we must have either displayed or sold a work of art in that category. So right now, all we have is a photograph. So that's going to limit us to either of these 2 tokens. And then to qualify for those, we would have to examine the type of visitors we have in our lobby. Examining the visitors in our lobby, we've got 1 of each color at least. So that will allow us either column to be able to take the tokens from that column. Now these are not optimal moves, obviously. I'm just doing these to show the viewers an example of play for each of the areas on the board. Now in a regular game, you would be using a lot more strategy before you would execute some of the things I'm doing. You would make sure that you've got the proper people in your lobby, and you would make sure that you've exhibited or currently are displaying the proper type of art in order to get a specific one of those reputation tiles. In this case, I'm going to use the first column, and we'll use the token that is opposite of the photograph. We're going to take this one. Now we would gain 4 money for every group of visitors in our gallery that match up with that sequence, pink, white, and brown. Currently we only have a brown visitor in our gallery, so we won't be qualifying for any of the money. But what we can do is place this reputation token on our board and gain a benefit. And I think I'm going to place this reputation token on this location. That special ability allows us to move any visitor from the plaza to the gallery. So we'll place it there. Then we also have to remove a visitor from the lobby back out to the plaza. That's part of the cost of that. And I think we'll use this opportunity to move a collector into our gallery. Now, like I said earlier, we're limited to just 1 collector plus the number of works of art that we've sold during the game. So right now we're at our maximum of the number of collectors in our gallery. Those collectors are going to be useful in getting fame to our artists in different actions around the board. And I forgot to mention, we also gain the influence listed at the top of the column. In this case, we're going to gain 3 influence. So our influence moves up from 4 up to 7. And what we're always trying to do is get that influence marker above those fame icons. That allows us then to be able to move them down, maybe at a cost of only 1 or 2, rather than moving a whole 5, which is how those are spaced. So that's another method of how we can try to judiciously use that influence track. Now we also have to move 1 of our visitors from the lobby back out to the plaza. So I think what I'll do is I'll move a brown one out there. All right, and that is going to complete that action. Now we'd be eligible to do an executive action, and I think we'll do that. We'll use a brown ticket to move a brown visitor back into our lobby area, and then this goes on the discard. Next up would be Lacerda, and he's going to move clockwise, and he will kick out one of our assistants. That would allow us to take a kick-out action or an executive action if we choose to. There's no executive action that I want to perform, and I really don't want to spend any more influence to take a kick-out action. So that would be the extent of Lacerda's turn. Now he leaves behind one of his assistants at his location. Then our kicked-out assistant would go back to his desk at our office. All right, I think for our next action, we're going to travel to the sales office. It's going to kick out Lacerda's assistant, and that's going to force us to discard a ticket from the box office. We have to take a ticket from the largest stack. I think looks like pink and white are about the same, so we'll discard a pink ticket to the discards. Lacerda's assistant will be removed from the board and placed back in his stockpile. Now at the sales office, we have two options. We can purchase a contract, which would allow us to sell a work of art of that style, or we can sell a work of art. Those would be the two choices. Well, currently the only work of art we have is from that starving artist, and it has a current value of 0, so we don't want to sell that yet. So I think what we'll do is get a contract card though. Our options would be to take any contract card that is face up, or to place 4 new contracts out on the board, covering the existing ones, and then we'd be able to choose from that. I think what we'll do is we're going to take the contract for selling a piece of photography. Now, we have 2 of those out here. One of them would give us the ability to hire the topmost assistant from the unemployment queue for free and place him at a desk. The other one would allow us to take a contract action. So we'll probably end up going with this one. So we'll take this and place that in our contract areas, and then a new card is put out on the display. So now we can take that contract that we have acquired and place it on any of our contract little spaces on our player mat. When we do that, we're going to gain the benefit listed. We'll be able to take a ticket of that corresponding color and then place the contract down. I think what we'll do is I'll put it on this middle one. We'll get a pink ticket for that. We'll place a pink ticket from the box office on our display. Now this gives us another option. During an executive action, if we choose to not use our tickets to move visitors, we can take a assistant from our office and place it on the contract and gain that benefit. In this case, that would allow us to take a contract for free. So that is a really valuable ability in using those executive actions. These are sometimes quite useful when you get those contracts. Those extra actions that you're entitled to can be very valuable. Now I'm going to use an executive action, and we are going to spend a pink ticket that we just acquired to move a VIP into our gallery, which is good. Now we've got one of each in there. And now it is Lacerda's turn. He's going to move clockwise to the international market, leaving behind an assistant. This is the only space where Lacerda is going to actually interact with the game. And in this case, he's going to place one of his assistants on the topmost left reputation tile on the board. So he's going to claim that tile, and we'll remove the tile from the game. Basically, this just denies us the ability to get that tile, and it will also give him strength in those columns towards the end game scoring. And now I'm going to demonstrate how we're going to promote an artist. So we're going to move to the media center, and we're going to promote the artist that we have a work of art from. Now it's going to be a kick-out action. So Lacerda is going to have to forces us to take a ticket out of the box office. But the kick-out action happens after we perform our actions. So what we're going to do is we're going to promote an artist. And I'll show you how we do that. Now we currently own a work of art from the blue photographer. So we want to promote her, and we'll see how we do that. what we do is we examine her current fame level. Now she has no fame, so in order to move her up to a fame level of 1, we're going to have to pay that much of our influence and place a token corresponding to her new level on her token. So in order to promote that artist to level 1, it's going to cost us 1 influence. So we'll pay the 1 influence, and then we place this token on the artist and then adjust her fame level accordingly. The artist is going to gain 1 fame plus the 1 for each of the collectors that we have in our gallery. We currently have 1 collector, so that artist is going to gain 2 fame. So we'll increase the artist to a fame level of 1 by using our influence, and we're going to gain a total of 2 fame for the artist, and I'll move it up to 3. So we've crossed over that green star on there, and that's going to move all of the paintings, or I should say works of art, I keep saying paintings, works of art from that artist, whoever owns them, whether it's us or another player or whatever, they would all be able to increase to 1 green star. So we move that artist's signature token equal to the level that they crossed or are at. In this case, we're up to 1 green star, and the value of that work of art is now 5. Now we can also use our influence to gain additional spaces of fame for the artist by moving that token down to the next fame icon. So if we chose, we could move that down to the next fame icon and then add an extra fame to that artist. In this case, I'm not going to do it because we don't gain any extra stars from that movement, and we would like to keep that movement available on the track for maybe other things. Now we do gain 1 benefit. When we promoted that artist, we gain a ticket of any type that we choose. And I think I'm going to take a pink ticket that's a VIP, and we'll put that on our display. And that's basically how we promote the artists, getting their works of art to become more valuable, and eventually once they become more valuable, they'll increase in value, and then we can do a sale. And so I'm probably going to end the sample playthrough for now. Basically, my mission in this video was to introduce the game to the viewers. This game is still available for purchase if you choose to want to buy it at Eagle Gryphon Games. And I think it's a really excellent and elegant game. The mechanisms are simple but yet very intuitive, and I do like the solo variant that they've developed. It's very simple with Lacerda. He basically just moves in a clockwise manner, laying down his assistants behind him, and then he just simply interacts with the international market. And I think that's a very elegant way of accomplishing a solitaire version of this game without too many rules, and you still have the fun of promoting your artists, acquiring art and contracts, and boosting your reputation, and dealing with the clients that come into your gallery. And I think before I close this video out, I'm going to introduce the viewers to some of the Kickstarter elements that I was able to acquire. I didn't order this on Kickstarter. I bought this from Eagle Gryphon, and they did have the Kickstarter elements that were available for purchase. So I'll show those to the viewers now. We basically get an extra pawn. It's an olive green pawn that we can use during endgame scoring, and we can use that on the track at the top of the board. And as we cycle our victory points and do the tabulations, we can use that pawn to mark which sections of the victory point tracks that we have accomplished. The Kickstarter elements also came with clear cubes instead of the white ones that we're using to mark the fame levels on our artists. We can use these clear cubes, and then you can see the value underneath the cube rather than having it blocked out with the white cube, which is kind of nice. It came with an extra easel. This one was dark brown, and it also came with some limited instruction sheet and 3 extra sets of pieces of art of various types and with different configurations. So I think I'm going to bring this preview video to a close. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope this prompts you to take a closer look at Vital Lacerda's The Gallerist. Thanks for joining me at the Solo Gamers Club. This is Keith, signing off and wishing everyone a pleasant evening. Good night.